Alright, guys. Holy crap. Holy crap. I said I would never do another advice video, and this is not advice. This is a holy crap video relating to silver. Silver, at this moment, let me put it this way. 2 days ago, silver was trading at $14.60 an ounce. That's when I bought my last little bit cheap, I think. $14.60 an ounce. Over the weekend, the market closed at $14.90 something, I think it was. Anyway, I got a chart I'll show you right here in just a little bit. In fact, I'll show that to you now. Okay, so what you've got here, the blue line is trading on Friday, the red line is a little bit of trading that happened on Sunday, and then the green line is Monday. That's the trading up to the current time. If you look on the blue line, the lowest it was at was like $14.60 something. That's when I bought my last couple ounces of silver. Then on the red line, it kind of along, but then all of a sudden today on the green line, almost as soon as the New York NYMEX opens up, you see it shoot way up. This is what we were trading at as of the recording of this video. That's like $15.30 something cents an ounce. Now, you have to take this with a grain of salt, and the reason you do is because that right there, where it spikes up on the green, see how it spikes up in an almost straight line the instant the market opens? A lot of times, that's where some manipulation occurs. I've seen it spike downward, and you can see it did that. It did that on Friday. It spiked down to $13.60 something an ounce, and when it got its lowest, that's when I purchased the last 2 ounces of my silver for the week. Unless something really crazy happens, to cause it to, if it looks like it's going to go nuts even higher, maybe I'll buy some more. As long as it's below $20 an ounce, I'm going to keep on. But and then we'll see what happens after $20. If it keeps going up and up and up, I might buy some more. I don't think it's ever going to fall back down anytime soon to where it was when I first started. So I have to take all that. But here's the thing. Look at that craziness. Now, it doesn't look like a lot. It doesn't look like a lot to a lot of people. If you haven't traded and you don't understand, so the silver market, this is over the whole market. This indication, it looks like only a little bit of move, but it's actually quite a lot. If you've got millions of dollars in contracts, you're jumping for joy right now as you're pushing the sell button, probably on some of it. But if you're a long-term investor, this looks really incredible, And I'm in it for the long haul, as long as I can carry it, As long as I'm not losing my investment, I'm not too upset about it. But what I was saying about buying silver months back, you guys should have done it, and you still can. It hasn't quite left the station yet. This thing is gradually creeping up. It has these dips, but if you look, it always, I wish I had the older Kitco charts, it always comes back a little higher. I think the bankers that were manipulating the market into an artificial bear market, have run out of resources. And they've exposed themselves brilliantly by messing with the London fix. Now everybody knows, and the cat's out of the bag, and there's nothing they can do to reinstill trust with people who are sane. But anyway, this is what I wanted to show y'all. This is what I saw this morning when I woke up, was this huge upward spike into the mid $15 range. I don't know where it is now. I'm going to check it after this video. There's a chance this is just a blip and it's going to drop back down a little ways, because as manipulations go, that usually happens. It can be anywhere from 1 day to 3 days, and then it'll drop back down. But if this is the real deal, it's going to drop a little bit, and then it's going to close, and then it's going to go up the next day a little bit more. So something happened. Something caused this huge spike in price of silver. Could it be a weak U.S. dollar? I don't know about that. Could it be some announcement from the Fed? Possibly. I haven't checked my sources yet. But just a little alert right here, you guys, you need to be watching the silver market, and you need to buy low and hold it. Or if you want to flip, sell high when a spike like this hits. It's a crazy, crazy market. And I'll post another video later. I think I'm going to just start a new playlist talking about silver. It's something I'm doing now. You know, I'm flying drones, drinking coffee, making product reviews, buying silver. So, yeah. And as always in all my videos, if I do silver videos, this is one of the things I'm going to tell you, and it's going to be the first thing in all future videos. If you invest in silver, don't let many people know, and if you do have to let people know, as I do on this video, don't keep it on your premises. Don't keep it where people can walk in, flip over a bookshelf, or flip out a couple of boxes and find it. Put it somewhere off your property. That's the one word to the wise I can tell you. And don't let your family, for God's sake, don't let your family know that you're stacking. You'll be the first one they come to in hard times. So let's get off this chart. I want to show you something else. Okay, this is the 30-day chart for the price of silver. Now, here's what it has done over the course of the month. You've had a gradual climb. This is not accounting for today's, most of today's, I don't believe. Let's see. I believe it's the 5th of February is where it stops because the weekend and all that, But anyway, if you look at this, you get along here, the blue dots are the fix. This is the London Silver Fix as this is going on. Okay, and you see it kind of closely follows the line. And then all of a sudden, February 29th, boom, goes way down. That was when they pulled the lever. Everybody suspects that one of the 4 banks that has control of the silver fix, they had some short sells. They had some naked short sells they needed to make up really fast without losing, to keep from losing their shirt. So somebody made a phone call, and because the new silver fix is an electronic thing, it's not the old centuries-old thing they used to do. With a computer program, you can put any number you want for the value of something in there if you have a field to punch it in. And so they did. This is probably what happened here. That was what pissed a lot of people off. When you have millions of dollars in contracts, and this happens while you're trying to conduct business, you just lost your shirt. You lost your shirt if you had to sell silver. And that's pretty much what happened. Now this other one, that was the next day. It kind of did it again. It did it again, but people weren't trusting it so much, so it didn't have as much of an impact. But they pretty much let the whole world know by doing this. And they said, oh, it's a computer glitch. Well, look it back, 30 some odd days. Well, not so many days, but it seems pretty consistent. And if you go to longer charts, it's still consistent. It's just right here. Somebody pulled a lever. Yeah. And that was when the manipulation of the silver market was exposed for what it is to sane people. So now a lot of people are just trading for the going rate, but look at how it climbs. Look at how it climbs. Just in these days here, it has climbed. It's going to be even higher in just a little while. So yeah, the historical chart shows you where the manipulation was. And the other chart is showing you where it's going. This one is showing you where it's going. It's not showing you the volatility that's going on, but it's showing you where the market closed each day as it goes along. And you can see the gradual upswing getting more and more steep here. This could also be the quarter or the time when a lot of technology companies that require silver, I've noticed about February or March of just about every year, when they go and they do their big purchases of silver for industry, that tends to drive the price up as well. But I can tell you right now, looking at this chart toward the end of this, there's a lot of miners right now getting very happy. This is taking them out of a crunch. When it gets below $20 an ounce, it starts getting below the cost that most people can mine it for. And so way back here on the low side, there still are actually mines suspending operations and shutting down because, shutting down because they can't afford to operate their mines at these costs. Some of the bigger mines have gone into like a suspended operation. They're doing a maintenance cycle now while the price is low. So, that's what you get into. But that's what I wanted to show you on that chart as well. If you're not investing in silver right now, you're crazy. I would say right now I would slow down my purchases, but I'm still going to buy if the market continues to show signs of rising and I get little downward spikes, or if it looks like it's going to go even faster. I think this is a blip. I'm going to wait and see. I'm just going to watch. And this is not the highest the silver market has ever been. It's coming up from the lowest it's ever been. Will it go lower? I don't know. I mean, you start getting into bankruptcy territory down here around 14, 13, and 12 for mining companies. So have we hit a bottom? Maybe. Because here's the thing, if they're not mining, the supply is shrinking. It's becoming more and more scarce, and your profits are going to get higher and higher and higher, because as goes supply, so goes demand. Supply goes down, demand goes up. Even if supply goes down and demand stays the same, the price is going to go up. You can't naked short sell forever if there's not enough physical silver in the world to handle it. So let's get on. Alright, so where are we now? Well, that's about where we are now. So I'm only just making this video, but you can see it's whipsawing a little bit, but it's holding its own. It's doing pretty good. If the market stays level, I'm happy. As long as it doesn't drop below 1460, my investments are covered. So anything they do right now, except for a wholesale manipulation of the price, I'm doing quite well. I bought way down here, at that spike. So anything above that now is pretty much profit for me. I don't know if you call it profit. What you're seeing here, this is some speculation, but also these variances and things that go along, some of that is inflation. So you may be profiting a little bit, but let me put that back over there. Just let that charge up. At my tablet, I see a lot better with these charts and things. Much better screen than a smartphone. At any rate, there's a piece of hair on my face. Don't know where that came from. Anyway, what that's saying is, invest, guys. Invest. But that little upward spike, I'm going to watch that for a couple of days before I decide to do anything else, because sometimes when you see those jumps like that, that's market manipulation. Somebody is doing something they shouldn't be doing. It could also be a market correction, which is another thing a lot of people don't think about. Silver could be correcting itself to the proper value. The market does undergo corrections occasionally. Usually corrections are negative. They'll go down, but sometimes you get a positive correction in the market. We're still recovering from that rigged silver spot fix, London fix. And they're making all this, well, we're going to incorporate more inputs, and we're going to reevaluate our software. Hey, man, the only input you need to fix is the one where you punch that little number in there and shift that lever up or down, That's the input that needs fixing right there. It's where just anybody can't just walk in there and say, oh, I'm going to arbitrarily change the cost, the spot price of silver to my favor. And everybody knows you can't hide it. You just basically open the curtains and let the light in on yourselves, or somebody, you've shown the spotlight on all the roaches that you are, you guys. little bankers and whatnot, these little criminal institutions, the four that are running it right now. You've just shown the light on your cockroach selves by accident by doing that, and the jig is up. It doesn't matter what you do. Anybody with half a brain sees you for the criminals that you are, and they're not going to trust the London silver fix anymore. Not until that some major change happens, i.e. you guys getting out of control of it and somebody more reputable running it, or an alternate fix, which, by the way, it's very surprising. China apparently saw this coming. For companies that are sick of being jilted around by the London Silver Fix and the four big banks that run it, there's the China Silver Fix. But do you really trust China right now? A lot of people are doing what's called the cyclic value, and that's how they're getting the spot value of silver. They're not trading via the fix anymore because of what happened twice. But I believe the silver train may be leaving the station soon. Do I think it's right now? Not right now. This could just be a, and then back a little bit higher than it was when it started. And it can range anywhere from 1 to 3 days. I wouldn't invest in it right now while it's plateaued unless I knew or I suspected it was going to go higher, which they say it may. Excuse me. I'm still having trouble down here, so you guys have to bear with me. But I just thought I would post this video. That is really a holy crap moment. When I popped open my tablet and my smartphone and I looked on the silver market and I saw that, I was like, oh. But then as I sit here, I think about, well, let's not get too enthusiastic just yet, kiddos. Let's see what happens in a day or so, and that'll tell us real quick where the market is actually sitting. But my opinion of it right now is, like I said, as long as it's below $20 an ounce, I want to keep on buying. If I have a few bucks here and there that aren't costing me any trouble to spend on it, who doesn't have 20 bucks to blow on a silver bar, go out there and get you some silver. And shore up your reserves for your family's sake, if not your own, So like I was saying earlier, silver is a shock absorber in times of hyperinflation. If you buy it now, while inflation is low, you can get it cheap. The purchasing power of the dollar is there. And when the dollar inflates and you go to sell it, let's say you need to buy some more bread, and bread is $13 a loaf or some crap like that. Don't believe it'll happen? Go see what's happening to Canada right now. Just YouTube Canada food prices, and it's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna blow your mind. Basically the Saudi Arabians, OPEC, they flooded the markets so much with oil. Canada, which is an oil-based dollar, much like our petrodollar, but in a slightly different kind of way, they just had they're having a huge collapse, man. Food is getting expensive in places because their dollar depends on fuel as its backing. And yeah, $13 loaf of bread. I forget how much. Oh yeah, $35, just a little meat pack. A meat pack, a ribeye steak in a little meat pack that you have to take it home and cook it yourself. $37. $37. $37 for a little piece of meat. That's the petrodollar or the gas dollar. They base theirs on gasoline. I don't know. That's what I was told. It's based on oil, much like our own. We have some other things that kind of help us out, but man, Canada's getting raked financially. Gasoline has gotten, and crude oil has gotten so cheap, not at the pump, but to buy it and import it, has gotten so cheap now that all the technologies we developed for shale are now suddenly way too expensive to deploy, for exploring shale and other things for oil. Why do all that when you can get foreign oil at below the cost? But here's the silver lining. According to a lot of experts, they can only afford to do this for 5 years. It's going to deplete them resource-wise and financial, and economy-wise while they're doing this. They're not just blowing up our economy and Russia's economy and China's economy with this thing. That's who they're trying to get. And their neighboring countries who it's too cheap. It's too cheap to drill. It's too expensive for their neighbors to drill. They're putting them out to pasture. It's hurting them because the Saudi Arabian state, let me put it this way, everybody there is on some form of welfare because they get royalties. Everybody in the country gets royalties on the sale of oil. Everybody, from the richest to the poorest, they get a little stipend. And since they're selling it so cheap, they can't afford to keep giving that stipend out at the same rate to everybody. It's going to get ugly there before it gets pretty if they don't stop their shenanigans. That's not to say don't buy cheap oil. Go get as much cheap gas as you can get, man. In fact, if there was a way to preserve it for more than a year, you can put some stable in it and you can preserve it for about a year. But if there was a way to preserve gasoline long term, man, I'd be buying that crap left and right now while it's cheap. Because the cheap times ain't going to last. But in the meantime, it's going to weaken Canada's dollar. It's also weakening our dollar because our dollar is largely based on petroleum. The gold standard ended over 40 years ago. And actually the silver standard ended in 69, I think it was. Somewhere around there. No more silver coins. No more nothing. And it's not backed. If you look on a US dollar bill, you don't see that redeemable for an ounce of silver or equal amount of silver anymore. It's gone. The dollar is an imaginary thing, and petroleum has become the thing that backs the dollar now. That's what Henry Kissinger was doing all around those Arab countries way back when. They were setting up the petrodollar system. And now that we have the BRICS Bank, which is their version of the IMF, China, Russia, Brazil, India, and Syria. The first group that formed it. That's why it's called the BRICS. It's Brazil, Russia, India, China, Syria. Yeah. So they've started trading in yuan, and they're buying oil in yuan, which was unheard of before that. But you know why these little countries can afford to sell oil in the yuan? It's because if we go over there and start a war with one of those BRICS-backed countries, Russia's got nukes, and they ain't afraid to use them, and so is China. And let me tell you something about China. China gets pissed off enough, the words made in China on all your stuff is going to disappear real quick, and things are going to get expensive. In a country with a weak dollar, that's genocide. That's financial genocide. For the simple fact, and this is another connecting point, we no longer have any real manufacturing in this country. We have some little stuff here and there, but we don't have big steel anymore. We don't have all this stuff that kept our country strong. Our sector in this country has shifted largely over to service business. You want fries with that? My name is blah, blah, blah. How may I be of assistance to you today with your product? Crap like that. We don't have many true manufacturer-type jobs or industry-type jobs anymore. Or, those types of things in our country. We don't have that backbone. There's a lot of writers that have said that a country loses its strength in its spine when the steel goes away, when they start contracting out of the country. That's the first sign. And here you go. I mean, even our cars are not really made here anymore. It's all stuff made over in other countries, and it's brought here, and somebody puts it all together. Briggs & Stratton, all American lawnmower engine companies, small engines for everything from snowblowers to lawnmowers to even little steamrollers. China. They unemployed a huge workforce in Virginia that used to make Briggs and Stratton engines. Those people, their lives were invested in that. They were going to retire from that. They worked it all their lives, gone. Just like that. They all had to go to a job fair. A job fair at 50 to 60 years old. Who the hell's going to hire somebody that old when they have to retire them? You know, there's mandatory retirement at a certain age, not far from that. Who the hell's going to hire you? They basically gave their employees the finger, is what they did. That was the captains of industry screwing over the little guy. I want to do a video on that at some point in the future where I talk more in depth about how we can possibly at least lend some more strength to the American dollar and maybe recover our economy, but I'm not going to talk about it here, you know. It's still at that point where people think you're a babbling crazy person when you start talking about grand ideas and such. But that's coming. And it needs to come soon. And I think really the key to getting our manufacturing base back up is going to be grassroots investments. I'll just hint at it that way. That's just a little piece. Government ain't gonna help us. The government's too busy stealing our money to care, you know, to give a damn about it. They're artificially keeping the dollar propped up so they can steal and steal and steal. This fractional reserve lending and all this other crooked practice that we have is going to kill us financially. Did you know there are already states talking about if it gets too bad, they're going to silver-backed currencies? And more than you think. I think it's something like half of the country now. The governments in those states have said they're going to start accepting silver as tender if things start getting worse than they are now. But you won't hear about this on regular news. You'll hear about what Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog are doing, you know, or what Kanye West has done, or, you know, who are they? The idiots, the Kardashians. Yeah, the Kardashians. That's what you're seeing on the news. Mainstream media is for stupid people. People who do their research, know the story. Some better than others, some not so. But they're all very quickly over time arriving at the same conclusion. Financially, if not a recession, we're going to be hitting a depression very soon. And if you're not buying precious metals or any kind of metal, even copper right now, did you know they're starting to mint copper in ingots for people to buy? Some of these local mints around the country are melting copper down into ingots, and you can buy copper rounds and you can buy copper bars stamped as coins and as monetary units. So, if you don't think something big's about to happen, you're friggin' stupid. So, just be wise. Even if nothing happens, you know, diversify yourself with physical, tangible assets. And as I said earlier, and it's going to be in my future videos, don't keep them in your place of residence. Because if things do get bad, or even if they don't, if you're in an impoverished area, people know you're collecting that stuff, they're going to rob your house. And people around here where I am, they notice things. They got their eyes on things. A lot of them are poor, and they're looking for opportunities. And a lot of them are drug addicts, what I've noticed. Never keep your tangible assets at home. Mine, safely, for now, until the banks start doing bail-ins. I'm going to get it out before then, but in a safety deposit box. And if you don't have that, you know, find some place off of your property to put it, you know. Another way you can do it, if you want to store your tangible assets, and I have some of my assets in this way, the bulk of them, not a lot of them, but, well, I can't say the bulk, maybe about 30%. I have invested in a holding company. They have a vault. When you buy, sell, and trade silver and gold, it's physical gold. Make sure you get one that trades physical and not paper, you know, not paper silver and gold. They have their own vaults. They have their own assayers. and they keep your stuff safely stored. And you can take physical delivery on it. It takes a little while for it to get to you in the mail. You can take physical delivery on it if you need to sell it or do something else with it, or you don't trust them. But even if you do take physical delivery in general, there are places you can sell. You're not stuck with minimums on a lot of these sites. There's sites that'll take the smallest amount you have. They'll sell by the ounce. They'll buy by the ounce as well, Places you should try: appmex.com, jmbullion.com. There's a few other ones. If you want to buy and sell gold and you want to do it in physical trades and you want to work the Forex, bullionvault.com. They're a multinational company that is a holding company that buys and sells. And you can trade on the open market with them without having to have a broker's license or this, that, and the other. And the last thing I'm going to say before closing this video is all investments entail an amount of risk. All investments entail a certain amount of risk. Trade at your own risk. Know the risks. Don't get greedy. A lot of investors lose their shirts because they get greedy and they don't know when to walk away from the table. If the market is on a vast upswing, don't wait until it caps. It may catch you with your pants down and it may drop suddenly below what you put your position in for, your buy position. Don't get greedy. Let it climb a bit, and when it looks like you're going to profit a little bit, sell your position, sell your assets. Wait until it goes over the hump. It will go over the hump. It will come back down. If it comes down but it doesn't go back down as much as you thought it would, invest a little, open a position, hold it for the upswing, try to get out before the swing shifts the other way. Don't get greedy and think you're going to make a fortune. Make a little profit, just a little, and then close your position, sell that. And watch for patterns in the market. There are patterns. That's all I can say. If you're going to trade commodities, those are things you got to be able to recognize the patterns. You got to understand the news. Local news is a big thing. Make sure you have good news feeds in the financial sectors and in other world markets and also world events. A war can cause metals to go crazy, up or down. Some metals go way up when a war starts because they need those metals for the machine of war. Other things that affect, rising and falling economies around the world will cause commodities to go up and down, especially on the foreign exchange, precious metals, and the stock market. I typically trade only in the Forex, and I only trade in precious metals. And it's made me some good money so far, I think anybody with half a brain and a high school education, or maybe less, can get in there and they can trade if they know what to do and they know economics. Make it your business to know what the economy is doing at all times if you're trading, because you got to keep your finger on that pulse. You got to keep your finger on that pulse, because if you don't, it can get away from you quickly. You've got to keep an eye on it. Not so much when you have no positions, but when you put positions in and you're trading, you have active trades, you've got to watch. It's like babysitting a very volatile child. So that's about it. And this video has run long, but I hope you guys got something out of it, and I hope I'm not just blowing wind toward you guys, or you think that I am. And I might be. I don't know what the market's going to do one day to the next. I know what it's doing right now, and maybe in the next few minutes I can extrapolate, and there are tools that can help you. But just realize there's risk in investing if you do it. Don't invest money you cannot afford to lose. Don't gamble the grocery money. It's like gambling the grocery money on the lottery. You don't do that. Don't gamble the grocery money on the commodities or stock market. If you got $20 or $30, go play on the Forex with a company that lets you do small trades. You can make some real money. You can easily double your... Get out of here, dog. Get over there. Sorry about that. Our dog is a rug factory right now. So, that's it. Y'all have a good one. Be careful. Get some silver. Don't worry about gold unless you got some real money. Get some silver. It's a lot more fun to play that market anyway. Take care. As soon as I find the stop button.